Hello children, welcome to Diksha online classes. In the crash course program, we are going to discuss the questions related to the topics D block, F block, metallurgy and surface chemistry. Let us go to the question number 1. Question number 1, which is the heaviest among the following? Heaviest among following. If you go with this particular option, let us see the options given for us is iron, copper, gold and silver. So let us take this one. If you take iron, next copper, silver and gold. So moving from left to right and moving down, you can see moving down the groove, what will happen to the size increases, mass increases. So among all the species, left to right, what will happen to the size? Moving left to right, size decreases, mass increases, but size decreases, but still the mass will be increasing. If you are taking the size and the mass will be highest for which particular species? Gold is the species. So the answer for this should be, gold, option C. Let us see the answer. What is the answer given to us? Yes, C. Next, moving to question number 2. Which of the following represents electronic configuration of transition elements? So the general electronic configuration is n minus 1, d 1 to 10 and ns2 1 to 2, ns1 to 2. That means your n should be highest for s and d should be least, 1 minus 1. So let us check in this. There is no d here. There is no d, so this should be eliminated. I can eliminate directly the option A. There is no d in the first option. In the second option, you have ns, np and nd with n plus 1 s. Okay, so the s value is greater than the d value. This is n plus 1 and nd, so this can be possible. Let us see in this particular one, p is coming where d is filled. So the outermost electron is in the p electron, so this is a p block element. The outermost electron is a p electron, so it's a p block element. And here the outermost electron is in the d, so this is a d block element in the second option. Let us see in the third option. This is ns2 np6 is an inert gas configuration. In the inert gas configuration, option D. So what we can say, option B is the correct answer for this. So let us see the answer for this is option B, correct. Moving to the next question now. The next question, iron, cobalt, nickel have valuable catalytic properties in process involving organic compound, oxidation, hydrogenation, compounds of hydrogen. Now nickel, we normally see this particular one for converting C double bond C to C single bond C by hydrogenation reactions, nickel hydrogenation. So iron, nickel is more common for hydrogenation. So where we can say this particular one can be more appropriate for which one? Occlusion of hydrogen gas. So the answer should be hydrogenation. So if you want to say, this can be understood in this way, where you have C double bond C reacting with hydrogen, giving rise in presence of nickel, platinum, palladium or iron. They have more adsorption capacity on this, gives you CH, single bond CH. This is hydrogenation. So hydrogenation is the answer for this particular one. We can go for hydrogenation. So the answer for this can be hydrogenation. So the answer should be C. So coming to the fourth option, let us come to the fourth option. Number of unpaired electrons is maximum in. So the unpaired electrons they are giving you. Let us write the atomic numbers below that. 24, iron 26, and vanadium 23, scandium 21. Where we are taking scandium is 21. So the number of unpaired electrons, the first one corresponds to S, second one corresponds to D. This is S, this is D. This is S, this is D. This is S electrons, this is D electrons. So S electrons are completely filled. Originally in this electronic configuration, what will be the anomalous configuration of chromium? 4s1 3d5 configuration. Iron 4s2 3d6 configuration. Iron will be, and vanadium 4s2 3d3 configuration, and where scandium 4s2 3d1 configuration. So here you have 6 electrons. Here you have 4 electrons because s electrons does not contribute. Only 10 minus 6 4 electrons. S electrons does not come. 3 unpaired electrons in vanadium. S electrons doesn't come. 1 unpaired electron in this. So where you have maximum number of unpaired electrons, I can go for the option A. So the answer is A. Chromium is the answer. Moving to the next question now. What is most reactive metal? Which is the most reactive metal? Most reactive metal: iron, platinum, nickel and cobalt. They have taken this particular one. How to identify which is most reactive metal? Simple. Which readily combines with oxygen. Which readily combines with oxygen, that is most reactive metal. So which readily combines with oxygen? If I take iron, iron readily combines with oxygen in the atmosphere, undergo rusting process, Fe2O3. Rust formation can be possible very easily, where this type of corrosion is not easily observed in the case of platinum, nickel and cobalt. So which is the most reactive in the 4 options given to us is going to be iron. Iron is going to be the answer for this particular one. Let us come to question number 6, which has maximum ferromagnetic character. Maximum ferromagnetic character is given with maximum number of unpaired electrons. Maximum number of unpaired electrons. So what we'll do? Iron 26. So 4s2 3d6 configuration. Cobalt 4s2 3d7 configuration. Nickel 4s2 3d8 configuration. Platinum, again it also comes under the same type, so it also comes under s2d8 configuration. So 6s2, nickel, palladium, platinum, so 6s2 5d8, it comes under this particular one. So when you are taking these particular things, in all the cases, which one we have this, let us see. So now when we take in this particular one, so 4 unpaired electrons in the case of iron, 3 unpaired electrons in the case of cobalt, and 2 unpaired electrons in the case of nickel and 2 unpaired electrons in the case of platinum. So where you have maximum number of unpaired electrons, that is the answer for us. So iron is having the maximum number of unpaired electrons, so iron shows maximum ferromagnetic character. So the answer for this is A, correct. Moving to the next question. Which of the following ions is colored which have unpaired electrons? So the key concept for us, which has unpaired electrons. Where unpaired electrons are present is responsible for color. So how to identify this particular one? Atomic number, where cobalt 3 positive ion, it will be 4s 0 3d10, Cu2 plus 3d9, titanium 4 plus 3d0, vanadium 5 plus 3d0. So there is only one possibility: no unpaired electrons, no unpaired electrons, no unpaired electrons. There is only possibility of unpaired electrons in the copper. So the only possible option in this is B. So the answer should be B. Let us see, this answer is going to be which one? Yes, answer is B, Cu2 plus. Coming to question number 8, the electronic configuration: 1s2, 2s2 2p6, 3s2 3p6 and 3d6. 3d6 corresponds to, so manganese, let us write manganese electronic configuration is 3d5, iron configuration is 3d6, cobalt configuration 4s2 3d7, and germanium, it is a carbon silicon germanium. So this comes under carbon family, so it will be 4s2 4p2. So here if you take in this particular one, you have the configuration 3d6 is only in the option B. So the answer is option B, Fe2 plus. So the answer is Fe2 plus. Moving to the next question. Which of the following species is expected to show highest magnetic moment? Highest magnetic moment corresponds to maximum number of unpaired electrons. Number of unpaired electrons. Where you have maximum number of unpaired electrons, that will have highest magnetic moment. More the n value. So let us see these atomic numbers. Let us write 24, 25, 29 and 27. What is the logic over here? Very easy way I will explain you. Whenever you have oxidation states minimum 2 or more than 2, add the two numbers, subtract the charge, that is your number of electrons left. So now in this case it is 2 unpaired electrons cancel, so left out is D4 configuration. 2 unpaired electrons cancel, so left out is D5 configuration. 2 cancels, left out is D9 configuration. 2 cancels, so left out is D7 configuration. D4 configuration, 4 unpaired electrons are there. D5, 5 unpaired electrons are there. D9, 1 unpaired electron is there. D7, 3 unpaired electrons, because maximum of D is 5. Anything exceeding 5, 10 minus we have to do. So we have 4, 5, 1 and 3. Where you have maximum number of unpaired electrons is in manganese. So the answer for this will be manganese. So the answer is manganese Mn2 plus. Coming to the next question. The 10th question, a white powder soluble in NH4OH but insoluble in water. So soluble in NH4OH but insoluble in water. Let us see in this particular one. PbSO4 is an ionic compound. Let us first understand this. CuSO4 is an ionic compound. PbSO4 is an ionic compound. AgCl is a covalent compound. Now, among the compounds, which is least soluble in water? If you take covalent compounds are least soluble in water than ionic compounds. Even though this is insoluble, even though it is ionic insoluble, this is also insoluble in water, but this is more insoluble in water. Okay, all are insoluble in water. But when you observe here, who can react with NH4OH? AgCl reacts with NH4OH, excess of ammonia, aqueous ammonia. It gives a soluble complex AgNH3 twice Cl. A soluble complex will be formed. Because of the formation of soluble complex, AgCl is soluble in NH4OH. No other compound is soluble in NH4OH except AgCl. So the answer for this should be AgCl. So the answer for this is AgCl because it is soluble in water, remaining all not soluble. Next, which of the following is colored? Which of the following is colored one? So for the colored, what should we take? Scandium 3 plus coming from this. Titanium 4 plus coming from this. Mn2 plus coming from this. Zn2 plus coming from ZnSO4. So if you have these particular species which are present over here, scandium, titanium, manganese and zinc. Let us see scandium. We are taking here the conditions. Let us go back. Scandium 3 plus. So scandium 3 plus, titanium 4 plus, and then Mn2 plus and Zn2 plus. Scandium 21, titanium 22, manganese 25, zinc is 30. So where you have electronic configuration here, 2 plus 1, 3. So all 3 electrons cancel, 3d0 configuration. 2 plus 2, 4, 4 minus 4, 0, 3d0 configuration. 2 plus 5, 7 minus 2, so this will be 3d5 configuration. And here we have 3d10 configuration. Zinc comes under non-transition element. So where you have unpaired electrons is only in manganese. So this is a only species having the unpaired electrons. So let us come to the question. Manganese is the only one who is having unpaired. So who can be colored? It is only manganese sulfate. Manganese sulfate. So coming to the next question. Question number 12. A group of acidic oxides. Acidic oxides. So the concept for this is less oxidation state, less oxidation, basic, more oxidation states are the more high oxidation. More is the oxidation state, then it is acidic. So let us talk on this particular basic point. Oxidation state is less, basic, acidic. So here chromium is in +6, manganese is in +7. Here zinc is in +2, aluminum +3, calcium +2, calcium +2, Zn +2, sodium +1, aluminum +3. Where you have the metals, wherever metals comes, this is amphoteric oxide, aluminum oxide is amphoteric oxide, alkaline earth metal oxide is any S block element. S block element oxide is basic. Any S block element oxide is basic. This is S block element basic. So there is no possibility of option B, C, D. Even in terms of oxidation states, that is not possible. You can see the highest oxidation state is shown only by CrO3 and Mn2O7. So what can be the only possible? Only this, and this can only show the answer. So the answer for this is option A, group of acidic oxides. Coming to vanadium oxide is a strong. Vanadium oxide, if I am taking, vanadium is moving from +3 oxidation state, will move to +5 oxidation state during its reactions, because +5 is more stable here. So moving from +3 to +5 is oxidation. If the process is oxidation, vanadium +3 is acting as a reducing agent. Since the process is oxidation, vanadium acts as reducing agent. So the answer for this should be reducing agent. So what can be the possibility? The answer is C, reducing agent. Coming to the next one, 14th question, rust is. Let us see in this particular one, rust is. What is rust? Rust is ferric oxide, Fe2O3.XH2O, which can also be written as Fe2O3 plus ferric hydroxide, FeOH thrice, Fe2O3 plus FeOH thrice. So the answer for this is option D. So which of the following sulfides is yellow in color? Yellow color we have to see. For this particular one, let us see copper, cadmium, zinc and cobalt. Let us write them. Copper sulfide, cobalt sulfide, zinc sulfide and cadmium sulfide. What is the specialty of these two? These two are black in color. Copper and cobalt sulfides are black precipitates. Zinc sulfide is white color precipitate and cadmium sulfide is yellow color precipitate. So the one which is having yellow color is cadmium sulfide. Coming back to this question, what is the answer? Cadmium sulfide. So the answer should be B. Okay, which is correct? Mg2CO3, SnO2 galena, Mg2CO3 cassiterite, dolomite, magnesite. Which formula is correct? Let us see. Dolomite is CaCO3. This is dolomite. So let us write this particular one. Let us go to this particular one next. So if I am taking the answers for this, so galena is PbS. Let us write dolomite is CaCO3, MgCO3. Cassiterite is SnO2 and magnesite is MgCO3. Correct. So the answer for this should be option D. D is correct answer. Coming to 17th question. Wrought iron is prepared by heating cast iron in reverberatory furnace. Correct. Because cast iron has carbon as impurity with some other impurities like manganese, silicon, phosphorus, and we also have some other impurities like sulfur. These all will be present as impurities along with the carbon. Now the impurities present in cast iron are oxidized by air? No, it is not oxidized by air. The impurities are oxidized by Fe2O3. Yes, hematite ore. In the reverberatory furnace, lining of hematite will be given. With lining of hematite, hematite ore is lined inside. It is lined inside with hematite ore. So Fe2O3, from which oxygen will come and oxidize all the impurities into respective oxides, where iron percentage increases, carbon percentage decreases. And the process completion can be observed with CO burning with blue flame. Correct. And silicon and manganese, they can be removed in the form of slag. Correct or not? Yes, we will be seeing this particular one. Silicon and manganese, if you take, SiO2 will be formed. SiO2 and MnO2, where we are taking these particular oxides. They are, one is acidic oxide and basic oxide. This is going to be acidic and this is going to be basic, and they combine to form the slag formation. So they will be resulting in the slag formation. That is going to be correct. So the only option which is wrong is option B. See, the answer is yes, option B. Coming to the next one, which is not a basic flux. CaCO3 is basic, correct. It's an alkaline earth metal, so oxides are basic. Lime, CaO, this is also basic. And non-metal, SiO2 is a non-metal oxide. Non-metal oxide is going to be, if it is a non-metal oxide, it should be acidic, and CaO is going to be basic. So the only option where you can see this particular one, option is going to be option C. So 19th question. In the manufacture of iron, limestone added to the blast furnace, calcium ion ends in the form of. So limestone, where you take CaCO3 gives CaO plus CO2. This CaO combines with the iron. SiO2 is the impurity, results in the formation of CaSiO3 calcium silicate, which is called as slag. So results in the formation of slag. So this is your flux and this is your impurities. Impurity and flux results in the formation of slag. So the answer should be, answer is A, formation of slag. So coming to the next question, 20, in the blast furnace, iron oxide is reduced by. So here the question should have clarity. Temperature conditions are very important. Temperature less than 1000 Kelvin. So the reducing property starts with carbon monoxide acting as reducing agent. Exceeding 1000 Kelvin, carbon acts as a reducing agent. So here who is the primary reducing agent is carbon monoxide. So if the option has to be selected one, I'll go with carbon monoxide because the primary reducing agent in this is carbon monoxide. So the answer is B. Coming to the question number 21, in thermite process, reducing metal ores. If I take reducing metal ores in the thermite process, what is the substance used? The question is, now what is thermite? We should understand. Thermite is a mixture of aluminum powder and, in this particular one, the ore, any ore will take, let us take some iron oxide ore, which will be taken in 1:3 ratio. This mixture, it reduces this, aluminum will take away oxygen, so Al2O3 plus molten iron will be formed, which will be used for filling of iron fillings, those all in the railway, any particular places, railings where any cracks are there, fillings, they will be using this. So the answer, aluminum. So the answer for this one, so the answer is A. And the question number 22, zone refining is a method to obtain. Zone refining is a method to obtain ultra pure methods. Zone refining is used particularly for semiconductors to get 100% purity, ultra pure, 100% purity, ultra pure metals will be formed. So the answer should be option C, ultra pure metals. So coming to 23, carnallite is a mineral of carnallite, KCl, MgCl2, 6H2O. Carnallite formula KCl. So potassium is there, magnesium is there. So in the options, the only option where we can correlate is C. So magnesium. So the answer is C. Coming to question number 24, which of the following metal is not found in free state? Noble metals can be found in free state. Lead can be found in free state. But the only metal, highly reactive metals, no S block element can be found in free state. No S block element. So the answer should be sodium. Sodium cannot be found in free state. Highly reactive metal. So the answer is option A. Coming to question number 25. Among the following statements, the incorrect one is, let us see now. Incorrect one, calamine, siderite, argentite and cuprite, zinc blende, and pyrites, malachites, and azurites. Okay, let us see calamine and siderite. Calamine is ZnCO3, calamine ZnCO3, siderite FeCO3. Option A. Let us see option B, argentite. Argentite, when you are taking this particular one, so the incorrect statement in this particular one, where you are taking argentite Ag. So argentite will write Ag2S and cuprite Cu2O. And zinc blende pyrites. Zinc blende is going to be ZnS, and pyrites, if I am taking just iron pyrites, iron pyrite is FeS. This is option C. Option C, and we have azurite and malachite and azurite both have the same formulas, which are going to be CuCO3 dot CuOH twice with respect to compositional changes. That's it. So both are ores of copper. So these are ores of sulfur. The only option which is wrong in this is argentite. When they take argentite, it is not an oxide ore, it is a sulfide ore, where cuprite is an oxide ore. So the only option which is wrong in this is option B. B is the option which is wrong in this. So let us go for the option B. Option B does not match for this particular one. So let us go with the option B. Okay. Coming to 26, which of the following is not a mineral of iron? Oh, very good, very good. When I see this magnesite or magnetite, let us be very clear. It's magnetite. If it is TiTA, it will be Fe3O4 magnetite. Siderite, FeCO3. Siderite is FeCO3. Where limonite is Fe2O3 dot 3H2O. Smithsonite is the only ore which is a zinc ore, ZnCO3. Smithsonite is a calamine type of ore. Smithsonite. So the only option which is not a mineral of iron. So from this I can say simply answer is C. Smithsonite does not match. So question number 27, zone refining of metals is based on the principle of zone refining is based on greater mobility of pure metal than that of impurity. No higher melting point of impurity than that of pure metal. Greater noble character of solid metal than that of impurity. Greater solubility of impurity in molten state than in the solid. Yes, now it comes. Zone refining more soluble in liquid state, molten state than in solid state. Molten than in solid state of metal. Solid metal. This is the property on which the zone refining process. So which option coincides to this? Yes. The answer for this is option D, which says the solubility in molten than in the solid. So coming to the next question, question number 28, a mixture of magnesium chloride and calcium carbide. So MgCl2 on heating gives magnesium metal converting into magnesium. So MgCl2 is moving from +2 oxidation state to 0 oxidation state. This process is called reduction. If MgCl2 is undergoing reduction, this is acting as an oxidizing agent. If MgCl2 acts as an oxidizing agent, then in this process CaCl2 should act as a reducing agent. So the answer for this should be a reducing agent. So the answer is reducing agent. Coming to 29. Okay, besmerization is carried out for. Besmerization is a process where you will be further passing out oxygen air, burning in the air, and that will be done in the presence of reducing agent. So this besmerization process is done only with respect to those oxides who can be reduced by a reducing agent like carbon. Where if you see in this particular option, there is only one option where two elements can be done. See, aluminum, any S block element oxide, carbon cannot reduce. Aluminum is a part of this. Aluminum is a part of this. So this cannot happen, this cannot happen, this cannot happen. The only option left for us is option A. So the answer is option A. Easy way to understand, correct? Who can reduce oxides with carbon? That's the way you identify, you'll get the answer easily. Okay. Coming to 30th question, which of the following set of elements mostly occur as sulfide ores? Okay, very good question. Sulfide ores, when you take in this particular one, sulfide ores, sodium is mostly chlorides. So this cannot be possible. Alkali metals will not be coming in this particular one. And when you see Pb, where you can say copper, zinc, they can come Pbs, Pbs, yes, Cu2s, yes, Zns, yes. So all three can be possible, yes, in this case. Aluminium, Al2O3, oxide ore, so this is not possible. And in this case, if you see noble metals, native state, they can be available in the native state, more in the native state rather than in the combination noble metals. So the only possibility available in the four options to me is option B, where you can have the sulfide ores possible. Let us see the answer. Yes, option B. Superb. So we have done metallurgy. Moving to surface chemistry now. The charge on As2S3 Sol is due to adsorbed. Always remember, sulfide sols are negatively charged sols, negative sol. And what is the best way to understand? As2S3 will have arsenic plus 3 and sulfur 2 minus. It should be negative, means it should have a common ion adsorbed on a surface, and that should be S2 minus, the common ion with the negative charge. So the answer for this is option D. Simple way, a common ion. Search for the common ion in the compound. Common ion of the compound, that is the answer. Coming to 32, a catalyst is a substance which increases rate of forward. It is correct. Increases for a reversible, they are asking you, so it is not just only forward. Sorry. Decreases value of enthalpy change in the reaction. No change, because enthalpy delta H will be no change in delta H. Delta H will not get affected. The value of enthalpy remains same. Only activation energy decreases. So the catalyst decreases activation energy, increases rate of both forward and backward, and not R, and backward. So that means the reaction is favoring in both the directions. So decreases rate of reverse reaction, wrong. The only option which is left out, time required, reduces the time required to reach equilibrium state. Yes, so the only option which is coinciding this is option C. So let us go into the answer. Answer is option C, correct. Understood now? So that is the conditions about catalyst. Coming to 33. Formation of ammonia from H2 and N2 by Haber's process using iron. Let us see this. Very easy question. Hydrogen is a gas. Nitrogen is a gas. Giving you some product. Let us see. But iron is a solid. Iron is a solid. So your physical states of reactants is not equal to the catalyst. So this should come under heterogeneous catalysis reactions. Heterogeneous catalysis reaction, option A. So next, coming to the 34th question. If a dispersed phase is liquid, dispersion medium is solid, the colloid is known as, okay, liquid plus solid. Remember, this is dispersion phase and this is dispersion medium. Overall physical state will be whatever is the dispersion medium, that only will come. So it will be nearly a semi-solid form, and the semi-solid forms in the can also be represented as gels. Semi-solid forms will be represented as gel. So the answer for this one will be option C. So the answer for this going to be option C. Coming to 35, question number 35, flocculation value is expressed in number of millimoles of electrolyte added. Millimoles of electrolyte added to 1 liter of colloidal solution. 1 liter of colloidal solution to create coagulation is called flocculation value. So it is always expressed in millimoles per liter of solution. So the answer which is coinciding to this is option A. Always remember, that's the key point. Refer to the synopsis. There also I have mentioned millipole per liter. At isoelectric point, what will happen at isoelectric point? Normally the colloidal particles will either move towards the negative plate of the electric field. This is normally happens. But at isoelectric point, what will happen? Any particle will neither move towards the oppositely charged electric field, so they remain stationary, will not move to the opposite. That means where there is no electrophoresis phenomena, that is the point, that is the pH where we say isoelectric point is attained. Now we can we say colloidal solution became highly stable? No, we cannot say precipitation is happening. Colloidal solution is still remaining over there. Colloidal particles becomes uncharged and precipitation can be carried out. Peptization can be carried out. See here, we are not talking about what happened. The pH at which the movement of the particle is not observed. That means we are not aware what is the charge possessed by the particle. If we cannot say, that point is isoelectric point. So the only point which correlates to this is point C, which becomes uncharged. So the answer for this should be point C. Which of the following is not an emulsion? Wow. Butter is an emulsion, liquid in liquid. Ice cream, liquid in liquid. Milk, liquid in liquid. But cloud is liquid in air, liquid in gas. Sorry children, liquid in gas. So the only one you can see cloud appears in the vapor state, in the gas, aerosols. So now your dispersion medium is air, but these all appears in the liquid states, so they are the emulsions. So which is not an emulsion is option D. D is not an emulsion. So let us check whether option D is correct or not. Yes, option D. Now coming to 38, alum is a water purifier because it, okay, so your alum is rich of positive ions and your water has negative ions as impurities. So your positive and negative will lead to coagulation. So it purifies the impurities present in the water and makes it a water suitable for drinking purposes. So coagulates the impurities, softens the hard water, destroys the pathogenic bacteria, gives taste. What is the best answer which we can give for this? So let us go. Answer for this is coagulates the impurities. As I said, water has negative impurities. Those have been removed by alum and makes it suitable for drinking purposes. We are not talking about hardness or softness of water. So the 39th, oils and fats are obtained by saponification of potassium stearate. Its formula is given by this. Lyophobic end is methyl, lyophilic end is anionic group, and potassium stearate is an example of whenever you have two ends in the same carbon chain, hydrophobic and hydrophilic ends, it leads to formation of micelles. So the micelle formation comes under associated colloids. They come under associated colloids. So the associated colloids are leading to the micelle formation. So the answer should be option D. This is now question number 40. Coming to question 40, which is not a colloidal solution, which is not a colloid. Let us see what is the answer for this particular one. Let us take in this egg. Egg is a colloidal solution of solid in liquid. Ruby glass is a colloidal solution of solid in solid. Milk is a colloidal solution of liquid in liquid emulsion. Whereas chlorophyll is a complex of magnesium. It's just a complex of magnesium. So because of this, the one which is not a colloidal solution is A. So the answer should be option A. Correct. Coming to 41, question number 41. Colloidal solution of arsenic sulfide can be prepared by. Okay, let us see this particular one. This is done by double displacement reaction. As2O3 plus 3H2S gives rise to, this will break, so this will break and this will break, gives you As2S3 plus 3H2O. We call this is double decomposition reaction or double displacement. double decomposition or double displacement reactions. We are preparing this by double decomposition or displacement reaction. So the answer for this is double decomposition reaction. So the answer, check it out. So answer is C, arsenic sulfide. Now coming to the identify the gas which is readily absorbed by activated charcoal. Now what is the condition? Charcoal absorbs polar followed by non-polar. This is the order. Which is polar will be followed absorbed more faster than non-polar. Following this, the order will be SO2 greater than CO2 greater than N2 greater than H2. All these are non-polar, but molecular weight basis we will write them, and this is polar. So SO2 is a polar molecule. Remaining all are non-polar molecules. So the answer for this should go with a polar molecule, and that polar molecule will be, once again, sorry children, the polar molecule will be option B, that is SO2. Let us come to the next question. 43. Gelatin is mostly used in making ice cream in order to. Gelatin, ice cream is an emulsion. Emulsions are unstable. So it should be an emulsifying agent to stabilize the colloid and prevent coagulation. So the only option which is used in this particular one, you can see the one which can represent this is option B, acting as an emulsifying agent. Coming to 44, Tyndall phenomena is exhibited by. Tyndall effect is a property for colloidal solution. This is the logic. Don't go with, very easy to understand. Now you see urea solution, starch solution, FeCl3 solution, all these are colloidal solutions. The only solution which is true solution is NaCl solution, which is a true solution. For true solutions it doesn't work. So the answer for this goes in this way. Answer is A, NaCl solution. Coming to the last question of the day, property of the colloidal solution is due to colloidal solution: nature of dispersed phase, nature of dispersion medium, physical state of dispersed phase, and temperature of the system. Remember, property depends on the physical state, because the physical state ultimately decides what are the properties exhibited by the colloidal solutions. So the answer corresponding to this should be option C, and that is our questions for today on the 3 lessons: D block, F block, metallurgy, and surface chemistry. I hope everyone is clear with the concepts. Thank you. All the best. Rock the exams.